Hello, I'm Tim Jones and welcome to another edition of View from the Bleachers. See this guy? Yeah, that's Indiana Jones. He's my second cousin on my dad's side. Indiana and I share several attributes in common. We both have a fascination with ancient mythology. In the end, we both ended up with a gorgeous babe. Just trying to score points with my wife. How am I doing, sweetie? And most importantly, we both hate snakes. I simply cannot overstate just how much I despise those disgusting creatures. Everything about them gives me the creeps. More on the other side. Welcome back. Snakes, like I said before, I hate them. All of them. There's no such thing as a cute snake. They have no fur, no legs, not even eyelids. How bizarre is that? Worst of all, they can paralyze or kill you with a single venomous bite, unless they're the kind that suffocates you to death with their vice-like grip. I cannot think of a single redeeming thing about this evil being. Oh, okay, maybe one thing. Apparently some snakes actually like to eat other snakes. In fact, the favorite food of king cobras is, you guessed it, other snakes. How sick and twisted is that? I have studied snakes a lot, and I can assure you, snakes will never win any medals for intelligence either. Did you know that some snakes actually eat themselves? Hard to believe, but true. I'll admit, when I was a 1-year-old, I sometimes obsessively sucked my thumb, but I never gave serious thought to trying to devour my entire hand. Some snakes are such idiots. But back to my main point. I loathe those slimy, slithering serpents. I said the previous sentence primarily to show my 9th grade English teacher, Mr. Santee, that I still remember what he taught me about the importance of using alliteration in storytelling. How'd I do, Teach? Even as a young child, I was so terrified of snakes that I refused to play the popular board game Snakes and Ladders. When I was young, even the sight of a common garter snake would make me extremely anxious, in part because, well, there's no way for me to tell a harmless snake from a deadly one. Let me explain my point. See this image of these two nearly identical looking snakes? Well, here's a fun fact. The snake on the left is called the coral snake, one of the deadliest snakes in the world. It will kill you instantly. Meanwhile, the snake on the right is totally harmless, the king snake. They both have red, yellow, and black striping. Good luck figuring out which is which the next time you stumble onto one of these in the forest. It would be extremely helpful if deadly snakes came with a warning label. Are you listening, God? I once went tubing in the wilderness with a buddy of mine. Now, he shared my snake phobia. As we drifted lazily down the slow-moving river, other, more experienced tubers warned us to keep an eye out for water moccasins. Turns out that this is a highly venomous snake that loves to hang out on rocks by the edge of the river, primarily to terrorize novice tubers like me. It can be deadly if it bites you. Here's a question. What's more alarming than seeing a water moccasin basking on a rock by the edge of a river? I'll tell you the answer. 2 seconds later, when you turn to your buddy to point out that there's a water moccasin on a rock by the edge of the river, only to notice that it's no longer there. Because it's decided to make like a torpedo and head straight for your inner tube. Luckily, he changed course and decided to pursue some other tubers, and we finished our journey without incident. Don't ask me about the other tubers. I didn't hang around long enough to ask. I once heard that snakes can actually swim through the sewer system and end up snaking their way into your toilets. Yikes! I don't know if that's true, but ever since then, I've always closed the toilet lid after use and I bolt it shut with a heavy-duty padlock. You may say I'm being paranoid, but I have yet to have a single snake attempt to bite my bum while on the toilet ever since I implemented this policy. So, who knows? Heck, I'm so paranoid about snakes that I once saw a trailer for this terrifying documentary. The film was called Snakes on a Plane. I refused to watch the film, of course, and all I know is that I will never, ever fly that airline, not even if they offered me a seat in first class and all the peanuts I could eat. No way. Sorry, Delta. Perhaps the event that forever cemented my fear of snakes was the time my wife, Michelle, and I attended a talk at the Miami Zoo by the zoo's director of herpetology, think reptiles and snakes. Now, during his presentation, he brought out several lizards and snakes of various levels of weirdness, including, and I'm not making this up, a two-headed ball python. They actually exist, as this photo shows. Now, during this talk, I noticed in the background, there was a king cobra, which the presenter had kept safely confined inside a glass aquarium. You see, look kind of like this. This is what a king cobra looks like. One of the deadliest snakes in the world. And if you don't believe me, just ask my cousin Indiana. He knows what I'm talking about. Then the presenter carefully removed the deadly snake from its glass enclosure with a long metal rod with a hook on the end. Sort of like this one. Yeah. That looks safe. He delicately placed the snake on the floor, and it immediately started winding its way toward the metal chairs that each of us in this 30-person classroom were defenselessly sitting on. You know what? Make that standing on, as we each immediately jumped up in an anxious attempt to avoid the snake that was suddenly checking out all of us. Did I mention I was in the front row? As the cobra sauntered in my general direction, the presenter grabbed it with his pole hook to pull it back. But then the snake jumped off the hook again and was now slithering right towards me. This is exactly what it looked like as it came towards me. Fun fact, when a king cobra is angry or feeling threatened, it will rise up and flatten its head into this hood-like gesture, just like it was doing in this photo here. That's right, my slithering visitor was about to let me know just how delighted he was to be in my company. The presenter desperately snatched the snake again with his pole and thrust the misbehaving cobra back into the aquarium, slamming the lid. And when the director resumed his presentation, the angry snake kept smashing its head on the side of the aquarium, but his many attempts to escape were completely in vain. That is, until he tried smashing the lid of the jail cell instead. Yeah, that worked like a charm. The lid instantly popped off, and out sprang my new little buddy, wanting to make an encore appearance. In a heartbeat, and I assure you, mine was beating extremely fast now, the villainous, venomous viper, how's that for alliteration, Mr. Santee, had leapt out of the aquarium and was back on the floor. He made the same threatening move as before, elevating his head and flattening it into a hood. Never a good sign. Once again, he was coming right at me. Fortunately, my wife was standing on the same chair, but right in front of me, so her body partially blocked him from getting a clear shot at me. The presenter, now obviously a bit shaken himself, was able to snare the snake and wrestle it into a burlap bag. He then shoved the bag and the beast into a box. I later thought about how close my wife and I came to becoming the lead story on the evening news. King Cobra kills careless couple. Kudos to the headline writer who came up with that. He knew a thing or two about good alliteration. I will thank you not to post comments reassuring me that most snakes are harmless or how they help farmers by eating mice or other varmints. I don't care if a goddamn snake knocked on my door and offered to paint my house for free. Get him away from me. Besides, I'm pretty sure he'd probably do a piss-poor paint job. Well, that's the view from the bleachers. I'm Tim Jones, and remember, if you like this video, share this video with your friends or anyone you'd like to annoy. Or for more of my humor, you can always visit my website, viewfromthebleachers.net. Thanks a lot.